We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one with Cookie Munster. I am one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso and my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, just tired. I got a coffee, which is a bad idea.
So I was just thinking as I was saying my intro here is that Cookie doesn't have a Ted Lasso name. So is she Rebecca? Is she Keely?
You are free to choose.
I'm not cool enough to be Keely.
You are free to choose.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going Rebecca.
Yeah, go with Rebecca. That's good.
I do like making biscuits, I guess.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Biscuits are good.
Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. Yes, folks, as you can see, we are joined by a friend of ours, Cookie Munster, who you will often see in the comments on our Sunday show. So everyone in the comments, just make sure you say hello to Cookie and make her feel as welcome as possible on this fun Sunday evening. Cookie, how are you doing? How's everything going?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
We have a vote for Keely, by the way.
There we go. Yeah, should we start a poll? Let's do a poll.
We could do that. For science. It's got to be for science.
For science, yeah.
Get your lab coats ready.
What's up to everybody in the chats already early tonight? We got Phil, Eric, Mr. Anthony Caruso, who's out of Twitter jail and on the Sunday show. Ian is here. I think that was it. So what's up, everybody? How's it going tonight? So Chris, Cookie, whoever wants to start, maybe I'll send it to you first. Cookie, what'd you get up to this week? What'd you read? What'd you watch?
Not much. Same old. I didn't read any comics. I was gonna read Cover the Dead with Lime #2, but I've gone all digital, and for some reason it is not on Comixology, so that was a bummer. But I did read. I started reading Heat 2, which is a book. It's a sequel to the movie from 1995. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it. You'd enjoy it even if you didn't like the movie or see the movie.
Is it a prequel?
It's a prequel sequel kind of thing. So it takes place 7 years before the movie and then 5 years after.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm about halfway through. I think I've done with all the prequel stuff. So that was really good.
All the stuff after the movie, it follows Val Kilmer's character, right?
Yes.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just the usual House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, stuff like that. So
the huge.
The huge.
I really wanted to read the Heat book also, but I'm horrible with reading stuff that doesn't have pictures lately. I don't know what it is. Like I've regressed in life. I only want to read.
No, I totally get that. Yeah.
But I love the movie,
this is
so
good.
It's
really good. It's really keeping my attention. Like I'm plowing through it. It's great.
I might have to pick it up, but I think they said they're also making the movie, so I might just wait. But I don't know.
Oh, are they?
That's what I was reading.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because people are already complaining. How are they going to recast these iconic roles? You know.
I know. Yeah.
There can never be more than one person playing a character. That's fictional.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Right, they're real people.
This cast are nothing.
Right, Robert De Niro does not exist. Neither does Al Pacino. They're only the characters from Heat, which are great characters, though. I can't really complain.
Yeah, this is true.
That ending is amazing.
Oh, so good.
Cookie, you mentioned that you're reading digital basically only now. That's Chris also. He's basically digital only. What was your reasoning behind going digital?
I just have no room anymore. Yeah. Like I can't do the long box thing, and I'm like, all right, I still want to keep reading, so went digital. That's it. It's not. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as exciting, I guess, for me, but gets the job done.
Spacing issue is a big deal though, because you don't have unless you have a room dedicated to like a comics I don't know, like a basement or something. Like a comics basement that you just can stack stuff in. They take up a lot of space. That's why I just have all the different useless cubby holes in the desk for them.
Stacks of things.
Yeah, they're getting worse.
Dude, that would make me insane.
You know, lately I've been looking at it, and it kind of makes me insane too, because I know that I'm going to make them worse. I'm planning like the twig trade. I need that. That's going to be in these cubbies. The next one bad day is going in these things. So, is what it is.
Chris, what about you? What'd you get up to this week?
I watched the usual stuff except for Rings of Power, which I kind of regret because it's all over Twitter. The one week that people actually are talking about the show on Twitter is the week I have not had time to watch it. It's amazing. But I've seen the character that nobody knows. Everybody thinks it's Sauron, but I think we've come to expect every new character is Sauron at this point. It's like a meme.
Yeah. Did you see that meme? I think there is one.
Is there? Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah, for every, I think it's like 3 or 4 characters, and it's just the next thing beside is that's Sauron, that's Sauron, that's Sauron, that's Sauron.
Anybody that's not a Harfoot is Sauron. That's kind of the way it is. But I will catch up with that probably after this. But I watched the usuals. House of the Dragon, which was interesting, I would say. It's something. I don't.
Let's talk about it. Okay, that's an interesting reaction.
Let's go ahead into this.
I think Chris and I have the same reaction as well. So Chris, just continue on your thought there.
I think that I don't want to make the comparison. I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to. But House of the Dragon, something about it is just not really holding my interest the way Game of Thrones did. I think there's a lot of good stuff in it, but then there's a lot of weird stuff. And we know the Targaryens are a certain way, and they're cool with that, and that's up to them. It's not my life, but at the same time, was that really necessary? The whole thing with the basement of I don't know. It looked like it smelled terrible in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit much.
Rashes going around everywhere too. I could just, there had to be a rash. Somebody was
rashes.
Yeah.
Who knows what else?
Yeah.
Just hose them down with some kind of anti-herpes spray. I don't know. That's creative. But that's kind of my thoughts on it. It had some good stuff, but unnecessary stuff.
Cookie, what do you think?
I'm tired of all the incest. I'm tired of it.
We should be celebrating
stop. Like, everybody's tired of all the politicking and all the stuff that's going on in that show. It's like, no, I'm tired of the incest.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it.
I think that's the thing that stands out for people though about this episode. Like, why did we need the incest? And it's so bizarre to see it in this context where, granted, in the Game of Thrones, Jon and Dany didn't know. And then once Jon realized, he was like, oh, no. But Dany was kind of like, hey, it's okay. Which Targaryen, whatever. Again. But these two, it's just bizarre. There's no context or anything. Not that would make it better, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've been teasing the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon since the first time we see them. I think the first time that we see Daemon, he's on the throne, and Rhaenyra is walking into the throne room, and Daemon kind of puts a necklace around her neck. It's like they're trying to ease us into it and making us they're trying to tell us that, oh, this is okay. I don't know if it's working. Obviously, it's not working for YouTube because you don't care how connected the characters are if the incest is still the end game, as it were.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you see people on Twitter who are like shipping these two, and I'm like,
right.
You're gross.
Yeah.
Them and Hightower, they need to go away.
Well, and that's I agree with everything you're saying about the incest part and the pleasure alley or whatever it's called. But one of my biggest complaints of this episode is the Otto Hightower stuff, where all of a sudden King Viserys is like, oh no, he's no good now. He can go away. I'm like, he's been with you for 30 years. He's been, at your side the whole time, and then all of a sudden, right now, you decide that he's no good for the realm, and now he's not looking after your best interest, and then he just fires him just like that. Like, I thought everything was moving a little bit too quickly in this episode. Otto Hightower is my favorite character in the show so far because of all the despicable things that he does. Sending his daughter into the to see the king, and then trying to get his grandson Aemon to marry Rhaenyra. I'm like, what is this guy's agenda here? Like, I don't agree with the stuff that he's doing, but his character is just doing some crazy wild things, and that's separate from what King Viserys did to him. But it's like, I like the Hightower character, and just for some reason I didn't understand why Viserys thought now was the right time for him to not be his hand anymore. I didn't get the connection between that scene where he fires him.
Not enough incest.
Yeah.
No, he didn't push for it hard enough.
Right. He didn't agree to the incest. That's what it was. Oh, well, you want more? Well, I thought I gave you enough. So that's what I think about it. We have some stuff in the comments.
Yeah.
Here. Let's get to some of those. If not, we're just gonna keep going on this incest thing, and I don't like it.
Let's not do that.
I mean, we could, but so are we all Constantine fans of the Keanu Reeves Constantine?
Yeah.
Big fan.
This news is badass. Very excited.
Yeah.
Zeddy asked, anyone check out the Flash movie tie-in comic? I did not. I'll get to that in a second, unfortunately. Did you read that? Oh, you didn't read anything, right, Cookie?
No.
Okay. You didn't miss anything on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, skip it.
Rings of Power is about to blow up. I agree. I will see it soon. We got Aaron got up to date with Chip's Batman run and Moon Knight. He's been missing out on some good stuff.
Yeah.
Chip Zdarsky's Batman is fantastic. And I mean, Moon Knight can go on about for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
House of Dragon meets Eyes Wide Shut. This comment got me. Grabs buys his anti-herpes spray from the same guy he buys fishing worms from.
Both very clean. Yeah.
Very clean. I feel Game of Thrones relies too much on the shock factor without the violence and incest. Would it stand out as much? That's the one thing I don't like. I get that a lot from this season, actually.
Well, Chris, you and I talked about that, briefly when we were talking about why there wasn't as much conversation about Rings of Power online.
Yeah.
And what Game of Thrones is doing versus what Rings of Power is doing. It feels like Rings of Power is more of a niche side of things. And Game of Thrones with House of the Dragon is saying, we have the blood and the violence and the sex. Watch our show instead. And Zeddy said that he thinks there was a mistake. They were both released at the same time because of the dueling censorship or rating or whatever. But it's interesting how far apart they really are for both being labeled as fantasy shows, where one's not a fantasy show at all now. One's not a fantasy show at all right now. And, the other one is full blown fantasy. Like, punches you in the face with fantasy every episode. So it's very different how different they are.
House of Dragon is basically medieval Succession.
Yeah,
that's
basically
kind of what it is.
Yeah.
So this comment, I want you to go ahead and answer this, Emmett, because I'm curious.
I'm done watching it. That's how much. That's what I think of it. I haven't seen the latest episode. I will not. I said I was going to. I think it was last week when I said I'd keep watching just because I wanted to be in the know and talk about it with friends. I'm cool with not talking about it with friends.
So I guess we're canceling Gathering of the Geeks presents Hulk Out.
Yeah, that's right. The show is just not something that I enjoy at all in any way, shape, or form. And it started out that way where I did enjoy it. And that last episode that I saw with Madison and the whole Wongers thing, just
you like Wonkers?
That was I like Wong fine. Wongers not doing it for me. So I will not be watching any more She-Hulk.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch She-Hulk and I liked it though. As far as what and I watched that movie X. Has anybody seen that?
No.
Yes.
X is amazing.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's so I didn't know what it was when I put it on. I just knew it was like a slasher film, which slashers are kind of like my favorite horror genre next to anything with fangs. So that's all I knew, and I was genuinely surprised at the content, that it was like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did not expect that. And then I didn't realize that was Mia Goth as Pearl. No, I didn't know that till the very end, and I was looking something up, and I was like, she played 2 characters? That is amazing. It was so
Yeah,
cool to see
well,
that.
that I knew going in. That was the only thing I knew. Everything else I
Oh,
kind of
okay.
went in blind. And I was very surprised.
Oh yeah, the other stuff was a surprise too,
Mhm.
yes. But
Yeah.
the Mia Goth thing was probably more shocking to me because like
Mm,
you did that so well.
yeah.
I thought it was 2 different people.
Yeah.
That's
So,
not a
well,
spoiler, by the way.
no. Everybody should know by now.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the cast list. I mean, I just
Mhm.
didn't beforehand. I just knew Brittany Snow was in it, and that's I think the only name I recognized
Yeah.
at the time. But that was a really good movie. I want to go see Pearl now, so I have to see if I have time this week to catch that. Oh, we have some love for X in the comments too, and Pearl. Everybody likes Pearl. Pearl
It's
is
been
cool.
getting really great reviews.
Yeah,
It
they're
is.
making another one. It's a trilogy of some sorts.
Yeah. Maxine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen them, but I just heard that the third one was coming out.
Well, X is set in the late 70s. Pearl, I believe, is like in the 40s or something.
Mm.
And then
Mhm.
Maxine would be present day. So
I
it's
thought
a
that was the
pretty.
80s.
Oh, is it?
Thought so? I could be
Oh, that
wrong.
would make more sense because she'd probably be pretty old if it was present. She might actually
Yeah.
be Pearl if it was set in the modern times. No,
Yeah.
because I think she's about 21 or so in 79, so that would make sense.
Right.
Either way, oh wait, Pearl is 1918. Well, that's really far back. That was surprising. I didn't expect that because in the movie, Pearl doesn't look that old. So, yeah, it is what it is. So that's what I watched. I really loved X, and then on the reading front, I did read that Flash tie-in. That is a rough book. I needed a nap afterward.
Mm-hmm.
The art,
And not a good nap.
I mean, there are no
nap,
bad naps if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like, never mind lunch, give me a nap. That's kind of where I'm at in life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, it kind of put me to sleep. I didn't really like it. I thought the concept of it was. It felt like a tie-in. It felt like I'm reading this just to get to a better story.
Mm-hmm.
And the art isn't my thing either. It kind of looks like the Harley Quinn book from Stephanie Phillips. I forgot. I remember. I don't know how to pronounce the artist's name on it.
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm not.
I know what you mean, but even the Harley Quinn one's better than this one. Even better than the Flash
I don't know.
one.
I think I'd pick this one.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't. I stopped reading Harley Quinn because I couldn't take the art. But yeah, so that wasn't good. What I did like was Batman versus Robin.
Mm.
That was great. I'm a little confused where it takes place though, because if it's in continuity, there's some things that contradict that.
Mm.
Like Wayne Manor is there. I was under the impression he cannot step foot in Wayne Manor anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't own it anymore.
Well, in this, he's kind of free roaming it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the cave still, so I'm a little curious how that happened. He does mention that he doesn't live there though, so I guess there's that.
Right.
But that's a really good book. I like Batman versus Robin a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you check that out?
Well, and I mentioned it to you because it has the big. I guess it's not a spoiler now because the preview pages for it had Alfred in it, and obviously and again
It's on the first page.
Yeah, Alfred's been dead since Tom King's run on Batman, and hasn't been around. So it's interesting that they brought him back, and we're still not sure if it's the real Alfred or there's something else involved, whether it's magic or what have you. But it's interesting. One thing that makes the book so enjoyable is Batman / Bruce Wayne and Alfred together again.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels like something that's been missing in Batman's world ever since King killed Alfred.
Kind of makes you feel warm.
Yeah.
Like Bruce has his second dad back. He's got second dad. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's nice to see him. And the art is, in comparison, the art's immaculate compared to the Flash book. So that's nice too. And I'd also tried to read the Alien book from Marvel by Philip Kennedy Johnson. but I'm completely lost. I think it's a sequel to the previous book he wrote there, and I don't know what's going on. So
Marvel's weird with their numberings. They just all of a sudden change a book and number it to number 1 and put the legacy number on it too. So it's hard to keep track of their Marvel books sometimes.
Bless their hearts.
I didn't read a lot this week either, for a couple of reasons. But one thing I did read, and kind of a conversation I want to have, is Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino continued their Bone Orchard mythos by releasing the first issue of 10,000 Black Feathers. And I read it, and it's good. But I had this thought in my head that, is greatness boring? Christopher Nolan makes great movies, but I think that they're boring. Steven Spielberg, over time, greatest filmmaker of all time. Are some of his movies boring? Bret Hart, one of the best wrestlers of all time, is he boring? Because after a while, you just expect, oh yeah, it's going to be good, but maybe it's not pushing the boundaries in some way. Is greatness boring? Is that a weird thing to say?
Cookie, you take that one.
Is greatness boring? I guess it could be, sure.
But
I guess, if you keep getting the same thing over and over again,
yeah,
if it becomes repetitive, even if it's great, it's boring. So that's where I'm at with that.
Do you mean
Jeff Lemire is my favorite comic book writer of all time. He writes my favorite books, but after a while, reading, it's probably only a me thing. But reading a Jeff Lemire story like this one, and it just, after a while, it's just, okay, yeah, he's a great writer. I get it. But do I need to see something different? Maybe that's what I want, is something different. So greatness isn't boring, but doing the same thing is boring. So Jeff Lemire isn't boring.
So it's the same style.
Yeah, it's exactly
okay.
Right. He writes horror, or he writes very sad stories.
Can we start calling it horror?
What?
I want to start calling it not horror, but horror.
Horror?
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. It just sounds fun, doesn't it? Horror.
Yeah. So it's just he writes horror or very sad stories, and after a while, it's just okay, do I want something different? And maybe that's what it is. So it's not his writing per style, but the style is what I'm looking for, something different.
A different genre, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Fair.
Okay, I'm still thinking about this, but what comes to mind is I love Tim Burton. He's been a top 3 directors for me forever, since I was a child. But I do find his new stuff, I don't want to watch it. I really don't have interest in it. But not because I think it's boring, but because I hated certain, Dark Shadows, I can't stand. Ironically. You like Dark Shadows?
I do.
That's fair. It's not,
you're allowed to speak up here. No, yeah.
It's not for me. That's all. It just doesn't work for me. But I know it's got a fan base, and that's awesome. I'm glad people like it. But like that, and there was a couple of things he's done that didn't interest me. But I wouldn't say he's boring. Now, when you mention Nolan, though, he goes for these grand, mind-bending kind of things. So I think I get what you mean. Yeah. It'd be nice to see him do something simple again, like a Batman Begins, or I want to say The Prestige, but that's also extremely complicated until you see the ending. But something maybe along the lines of that, because that is more straightforward though. There's other films like Tenet. You have to Google and watch YouTube videos to understand what happened. Whereas you watch The Prestige, all from start to finish, you get it. Oh, okay, I got it. So I think I get what you mean. I don't know if I would say it's boring though.
Yeah, boring might not be the right word. It's just, I think it's for me. I'm bored by a style after a while from one writer. And it's hard when you've literally read every single thing from that one person. So it's more of a me thing. It's more of a me Lemire thing rather than a greatness thing. It was just something I needed to talk out and get slammed by Ian in the comments about. That's what I mean.
He is working his hardest to do that.
Yeah, he's making sure I don't continue on with this hypothesis.
I think if you really want him to get upset, say you don't like ET or something.
Yeah, I won't say that.
Well, I think you like ET, so you
I love ET, so I won't say that.
I can pick on it though because I haven't watched it.
You still haven't watched it?
I still, I'll get to it.
See how offended she just was right there? Holy cow.
I will get to it, guys.
I can't.
It's going to be weird watching the Munsters before I watch ET. I'll tell you that.
Ooh, yeah, that's like a
Mm.
yeah. Where's
If
that
it were on a
Chris?
streaming service, I would have already watched it, but it's not.
I think that's yeah.
That's a technical foul.
I had to do that. That's the Munsters before ET. Oh, ugh.
I forgot we have access to that.
What's that? That's 9 days from now, isn't it? The Munsters. I think I saw online. It's not that far
Something
away.
like that, yeah.
It's this weekend, I think.
Well, next week. It's it's the day I leave, so I think it's a Friday. I don't remember.
So both of you, I know, are big fans of the horror genre and the Munsters, obviously. Are you both gonna watch it day of? Chris, I know you're busy, but are you watching it the day of Cookie?
I'm not watching that trash at all.
No, not even
No.
just to see what it's like.
No. I'll wait and see what everybody says on Twitter, and and that'll be fine with me. I don't need to see this train wreck. No.
Chris,
I'm gonna try to watch it on the plane.
yeah, just to see what it's like, just to experience it.
Well, I figure if I can't hear it that well, it won't bother me. That's kind of what
Sherry Moon Zombie speak.
right. That's kind of my mindset with it. Like if I can't hear every word, it's okay. So, but yeah, I'm gonna check it out as soon as I can. Morbid curiosity.
Morbid indeed.
Yes, very morbid. Too morbid, maybe. The Munsters is absolutely going to be a day of movie day one movie. Okay, even though I have zero hopes for it after that theatrical trailer. Yeah, and they're putting on a Blu-ray on the same day. Like, who you guys kidding?
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Like, really? Are you trying to rope people into this? Come on. I'm with Cookie as someone who's seen the original show. Wow, Cookie just threw an accent out there. Not watching that trash. The Hara. That's what we're going to start saying now.
It's a Hara.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you have to join. I did the Twig evolution. We're going to start the Hara evolution pretty soon.
The Hara evolution.
Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with just horror evolution. That's not fun.
Horror.
Yeah, horror.
Horror.
Hara. I think we have something to show.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything we watched and consumed this past week. Guys. Chris, do you want to set this up now or after we show it? What do you want to do here?
Yeah, we'll do it now, I guess. So, my buddy Mike Snyder is a very talented guy, and he's making a short film, and he could use some assistance with funds. So we have a video of him talking about said need of assistance for funds.
Hey everybody, Mike Snyder here. You might know me as the guy who posts his toy collection on the internet, or you might know me as the guy who tours that really cool rock band, so you see me every couple of years. Or you might remember me from high school, maybe kind of, sort of. You probably also know me as the guy who's in love with movies. And guess what? I'm making my own movie. I'm writing and directing a short film. We're calling it GTFO, and this is where you come in. We're trying to raise funds to get the movie made through Indiegogo. Every dollar helps. It'll help us pay people. It'll help us get the crew and cast situated. It'll help us get everybody fed and hydrated while we shoot the film. It'll help with post-production. Every bit will help. We'd love to have you help us out in some way. There's a bunch of different perks where you can maybe be a part of the film in some way too. Thank you for looking at this. Thank you for taking the time. If you can't chip in, that's totally okay. But you want to support the film anyway, just share it, promote it, and that would still mean the world to me. I'm really excited for you guys to see this movie. We have a great cast and a great crew, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I can't wait to get it done, and hopefully you can help us get there. Thanks.
Sauron.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Sauron. Yeah, so
Everybody's Sauron.
Yeah, even Mike
Snyder is Sauron.
Yeah. So yeah, like he said, he's just trying to get some extra funds for it. So we'll have the link to the Indiegogo if you guys want to check it out. So that's
absolutely. All right, let's move on to the poll from last week. We had one up for science. There's always a debate on whether or not animation is as good as live action. Some argue it's not the same, while others will say it's better. So we had they can be equal, live action, no contest, or animation, no contest. And of course, the Batman is on HBO Max. And I think this is the first poll we've ever done, Chris, where the Batman didn't get a single vote.
What?
What do you think about that?
Wow.
Not a single
I'm
vote.
disappointed. I should have voted.
That's so upsetting.
That's a technical foul.
So the winner was They Can Be Equal. We got a couple comments here from our friends. Eric says, he says, I mean, the best two Batman films for me are The Batman and The Mask of the Phantasm, so they can be in the same league. Comic Ice T says, I don't mind animation for Saturday morning cartoons or for movies/TV shows that have never been live action, but if there's a live action version of a character, I can't do the animated. Phil Walsh says, while I prefer live action, it cannot be denied that there are some impressive animated films which stand shoulder to shoulder with live action. There's the usual choices, Phantasm, Spider-Verse, but there's also Beauty and the Beast and Klaus, to name a few. So what do you guys think? Do you think animation is in the same league as live action via storytelling, characters, what have you? What do you guys think?
Cookie? You get to go first.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
For me, I think they're both equal because I mean it depends on the storytelling. If the story is good, it doesn't matter to me if it's live action or animation. If I have some sort of impact from it, then that works for me. That's how I feel about it. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they can be equal. I think it just depends on the subject matter and how they do it. Because it's not like I'm going to say I'd rather watch Batman, the Brave and the Bold over the Batman. That's not happening. But if we're talking, like you watch something like The Corpse Bride, which I think is a great animated film, I'd probably rather watch that over a lot of live action films.
Right.
Or even if you watch like the studio, I'm going to mispronounce this, Ghibli.
Mm-hmm.
Those are
Ghibli.
great. Ghibli. Oh, those are great movies.
Right.
They're really interesting. They're visually beautiful. They have a lot going on, and they're not really kiddie, but they're not too adult either. They walk a really fine line.
I like the way animation can do stuff that live action cannot do, and it doesn't cost as much. Like I'm thinking about like the show Invincible that Amazon Prime put out. Like I'm trying to picture that as a live action show and how the show would be picked apart for its CGI not being very good. And also considering what Amazon Prime is spending on Rings of Power, but the show would be absolutely incredibly expensive to produce for various reasons, the aliens, the blood and the fighting and all that kind of stuff. So I like the way animation can be used in a way that live action can't be used to tell a story. I think that animation story-wise can be told just as good. Like I automatically think of Pixar movies. Like some of the saddest, most meaningful movies that I've watched are Pixar movies. And, you know, maybe they don't need to be because maybe, Pixar almost makes a point to say, okay, let's put the saddest moment that anyone will ever have in their entire life in this one movie, and we'll make it 2 seconds long, but that's all anyone will be talking about. But I just like the way,
like in
Up, right? Yeah, exactly. The opening scenes of Up, it's just like, oh my god, I don't want to live anymore. This is the saddest thing in the entire world.
I'm done with this.
Exactly. So I just like the way, and Spider-Verse is one of the greatest things because of the animation style, because they use the animation style as a tool to tell the story. So I think if you use the animation style in the right way, it can be used both to propel the story forward and do things that live action can't do.
Well, it's like Ian says here, Into the Spider-Verse is the best Marvel movie of all time. Most live-action remakes of classic Disney films have flopped. I find live-action animation to be equal. Now, for me, the thing about this is you will not get Into the Spider-Verse live-action. Like you said, you mentioned that there's some stuff you can't do. Well, this is one of the things that they won't do, simply because it'd be too complicated, too many actors and whatnot, too hard to put together. So throw it in animation. Or even you look at something like Batman The Long Halloween Parts 1 and 2, we were never going to get that full story in live action. I think every Batman movie since Batman Begins has tried to emulate pieces of it, and that's what they do. They take pieces, whereas in animation they just did it. And these are just a comic book examples. There's several other examples of amazing animated films and series. Like Batman Animation is pretty much the best superhero show ever made. I think it's far superior to any live action series from DC or Marvel. I can't really argue with that. I might be biased though.
You are, but it's okay.
A little bit. It's okay. You're right. It's all right. You know, I like animation.
Yeah, I do too. It's just interesting that there is like a standard thought about animation that it isn't. You know, there's a separate category in most award shows. There's best animated show or animated movie, not just straight up animated. So it's interesting that there is a double standard, bias towards either of them. And I wonder how much, as more of the CGI advancements and, even, the whole talk when they make these live action Disney remakes, like The Lion King, a live action remake. It's not live action. They're not real fucking lions. It's still an animated movie, right? It's an interesting thing. Yeah, they got lion tamers and hyenas.
It was a very expensive thing.
Yeah, trained hyenas. Yeah.
Nobody was hurt on the set. It's magical because it's Disney.
Right. Just interesting. There is a standard between the two, and I don't know if there has to be, but I guess there is, and there always will be probably.
I do respect those who just don't like animation though too. I think it's your opinion, so of course, and the argument that you can't, because there's the popular thing, Kevin Conroy is the best Batman ever. I've seen a lot of people say that. I don't really agree with. Well,
yeah.
I don't agree with you. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But I know that is the opinion of a lot of people. So that's another hurdle when it comes to animation versus live action for folks, and I get it. Of course, like what you like at the end of the day, or the start of the day, whatever you want to do. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this again.
Ian, get off our backs. How about that? Jesus, man. Come on, give us a break.
Can you spell it out for us, perhaps?
Yeah.
Because I'm having a problem. Yeah, I'm having a problem doing this. The coffee's not making me jittery enough yet for it, so you got to help me out. Hamill's Joker. I don't know.
Ota?
Otep is the mummy, I think.
Yeah. Ota. On top.
I think the H might mean honestly. On top
over the others, honestly.
Oh.
Over the
on
others,
the other
honestly.
hand, okay.
That's much more simple.
Yeah, Joker, Hamill's Joker. I will agree that is some top-notch stuff. I can't disagree with Hamill's Joker, but Conroy. I still like our version of OTOH better. Over the others.
Yeah, over the others, honestly.
Or over the others' hand. Hope.
Over the others' hands.
I don't know. On the other. I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. All right. That's enough.
No more lingering.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to ask. You watched how many Blade films this week?
I only watched the one.
Just
I wanted to keep watching them, and then you told me that there was a cartoon, and then you reminded me about the TV show. I'm like, I don't think I can do all that stuff.
I own the TV show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like it's a complete series box set because it only had the one season. I think I got it on sale for like $10. I was like, I don't really like it as a whole, but I like pieces of it, so sure. I think I've watched it once.
What about the animated one? That one's no good either?
Never watched. I heard it was great.
Yeah.
Did you happen to watch the deleted, the alternate ending I was telling you about?
No, I'll have to get to that too.
Okay, for those of you guys who have for those of you guys who have seen Blade, the first one, there's two alternate endings. One of them, Deacon Frost becomes La Magra, which is the giant. It looks like a blood tornado at the end. They didn't go with that, of course. They just went with Deacon Frost kind of being souped up on cocaine, essentially, is what it looks like. But the original ending was like a blood tornado. They said, hey, this looks dumb. Let's get rid of that. And then the other part of the ending was there's a bit where Blade is standing at the very end on the rooftop with the lady he saved. I forgot her name. And they're looking in the distance, and Morbius is on another rooftop. Not Jared Leto, of course, but the same
Hmm.
character. Pretty fun.
How come
I
they
just felt
didn't continue on with the Morbius stuff?
I don't know. I guess they didn't like the idea of it or something, like him having to face another half vampire, which I thought would have been cool.
Right. Yeah, that would have been cool.
How great is TGM? Top Gun Maverick. I know that one.
It's great. That's what it is. It's very good.
Forgot to mention, comic-wise, I read the Dracula comic based off the actual novel with Bella drawn as the Count. That is actually a really cool book. It's kind of like a gem, in my opinion.
Is that a newer one? Older one?
It came out within the last year or so. It's an adaptation of the book, but they kind of streamlined it and they added Bella instead of what he would have looked like from the book's description, which is kind of like an old man with a big mustache for most of it. I can't watch the ending of Blade without seeing the huge mistake of Frost's blood changing sides on his face. I wish they'd fix it. It's like the end of American History X. Those are two very different movies, though.
I think he's talking about. I think when Edward Furlong he gets shot in the bathroom, whatever he that paper that he wrote. When he gets shot, he like throws it in the air or whatever, and then in the final shot he's holding it like in his chest or something.
Oh, is he? Okay,
I've only
seen that. I've only seen that one once. That's kind of a tough watch.
Oh yeah,
it's a tough watch. It's not something like, hey, it's a Saturday, let's put this on for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like
This is my comfort movie.
Right.
Yeah.
If that is your comfort movie, maybe we need to have a chat. Bella is Dracula. Can't convince me otherwise. I agree. Why is Gathering the Geeks logo hiding Emmett's glorious?
It's there now that your comment's on, Zeddy. Okay. There,
No,
now
it's
it's gone again. You're welcome.
Okay, you are right, Emmett. Yeah, I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember a lot of curb stomping and violence.
Yes, and other stomping of things.
It is a great movie, though.
Yeah, Ed Norton's great in it.
Yes. So that is the poll and other stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about why Cookie's here, Chris, and let's tease a thing.
Well, it's not really a tease. It's kind of more just a, hey, we're doing this.
I guess it's not a tease anymore. Let's announce it then.
I've been putting these little things on Twitter that nobody's picked up on except me, which is fun.
I like the
I
one
have.
you did yesterday.
Yeah. You guys know, but nobody else like, oh, what are they doing now?
Yeah.
But I think I'm hilarious with everything I do most of
Well,
the
they're
time.
not the most clear. What did you have, Leslie Nielsen last time?
I thought that was
that's not clear about what we're
It's
doing.
clear enough. It's pretty clear. And the Saturday Night Live video, it's there. But anyway, I think it was hilarious myself. So anyway,
I can picture Chris typing out these tweets and just laughing to himself. And oh, this is a good one.
that is what it's like.
Yeah, I know,
That is what it's like. So anyway, we Emmett had the idea that we could we like talking about stuff, as you guys know, and we're really enjoying the audio only things because we get to go outside of our box. Because here on the show, you know, we don't want to spend 3 hours talking here and then you guys are like, oh, okay, well, we've had enough of y'all. So what we've decided is that we like these audio only podcasts where we could kind of hone in on one specific thing or a couple specific things. And that's why we did Moon Knighting. We have elves, hobbits, and potatoes right now. And we have a little something extra that we're going to show you guys. And you guys don't have to take off your headphones. We've already made sure the audio.
The audio's been fixed. We're good to go.
Right, we're good to go. Let's roll it.
Hey,
There
look
you
at that.
So Cookie is here because she is joining us on that podcast.
And I'm very excited.
Yeah, so interview with the geeks, and you know, Chris and I were talking about doing
Is
this
it?
one. No,
Grab said it's still pretty loud.
that's because I don't think so.
And actually, I was not around when the dog ate the chocolate, so it's not like
there was only one person we could think of when we wanted to do this podcast. We knew that Cookie was a big fan of horror. She seemingly tweets about horror related content every day, every hour of every day.
She's a spooky
big
queen.
She's a spooky queen. So we knew that she was somebody that we wanted to talk about and have on this audio show. So Chris and I couldn't be happier that she agreed to be on the show as well. And we're really looking forward to talking about it. So an Interview with a Vampire, the TV show, airs on October the 2nd. And we'll be doing, I think it's about a 2-week crossover with our Elves, Hobbits, and Potatoes show, because I think the season finale of Rings of Power is October the 14th. So a little bit of crossover. So we'll be double dipping with our audio only shows for about 2 weeks. And then after that, we'll continue on with just the Interview with the Geeks.
I don't know if Krabs is joking or not. Is this the thing?
Sacrificed a goldfish to her cat. Cookie, did you do that?
No.
She doesn't sound very very cool.
I don't know.
Never. I would never do that.
Well, Cookie is bringing the classier part of the podcast, so.
Oh yeah, that's not a question
Class, right
at
here.
all.
Right.
Okay, so it's a TV show, Interview with a Vampire, and they're making. Chris and I have been, I don't want to say following it, but every time they've released. So Chris has been following all the news about the TV show, and we've seen that they're changing a lot. Obviously, the characters are different. The timing is different. What time it's set in, stuff like that. So I'll start with you first, Cookie. You know, what are your expectations from Interview with a Vampire? Like, how much of a fan are you of the movie, of the books, of the entire world? And then compare it to, the TV show that's going to be coming out here in a few weeks.
Well, I loved the movie. I saw it in theaters when it came out, so I was probably way too young to see it. I read the book right after, so I think it's like a perfect vampire movie. So when they announced the show, I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about it, but seeing the trailers and seeing that they are basically just taking the names pretty much and kind of like rough outlines of the characters, and kind of doing their own thing with it. I'm interested in it. So, and I'm going in with low expectations, and I'm kind of taking it as a separate thing from the movie and the book. That's how I'm going in.
Yep. Chris, I think that's pretty aligned with your thinking now as well.
I'm trying not to get my expectations up, but I really liked all the marketing the show they put out there.
Yeah.
Like on paper, when I would read what they were doing, I was like, no, not having it. This ain't cool. Not into it. But now that I've seen it, of course, like most of us, I've come around saying, hey, maybe it won't be that bad. So I am in kind of like a wait and see type of mentality with it. But I am pretty excited. My hopes are probably a little bit higher than hers, maybe.
I'm keeping it in check.
I'm trying to, but it's not really working anymore. I saw a new picture of it today because as we speak, they're airing a behind the scenes special of it, which I'm not going to watch because I think I've seen enough of it so far. But I saw a picture or two from there. I'm like, that looks pretty cool.
So they're changing a lot from the show from what we know from the movies. Obviously, we haven't seen the show or even really know how much they're actually going to change. But do you think the show could have worked if it just told the exact story from what we know? Do you think they had to change? Or do you think that they could just told the exact same story?
I think that's the fun whenever you let someone adapt something, because like the wise man named Forrest Gump once said, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And with adaptations, it feels like the idea is always, hey, let's change everything we possibly can, but keep the core of the characters.
Yeah.
And in the case of this, the book is pretty dated at this point. It was written a while ago. And so a lot of the things in there, I don't think would really work as well today on screen. Mm-hmm. We've just gotten past a lot of the different things in there. And also, this is not a slight to the movie, but it's actually a compliment. The movie did it so well. If you were to just kind of do the book, you'd really just be remaking the movie. Because the movie really didn't change all that much. in my opinion.
Mhm.
They cut out certain things, like there were some characters at the start of it, and then the Paris stuff is slightly different, but other than that, it's pretty close. So you either remake the movie or you change stuff, keep the core of the characters and the spirit of the story. So that's kind of the route they've gone.
And if you stay too close to the movie, which was like perfect, they're basically shooting themselves in the foot to have a bad show.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, people are always going to compare it if you do it that way too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. This further distances themselves from being compared to what came before. Like, you're not gonna, I don't know the gentleman's name, but the two main leads, you're not going to compare them to Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt now, because they're so different. Aside from Lestat, or which one's Tom Cruise? Is that Lestat?
Lestat.
Yeah. So aside, Lestat he basically looks like Tom Cruise. He's got the long blonde hair. But Louis is so much different than Brad Pitt. Obviously, he's a different race and everything. So that'll distance him. But I think it's, again, Anthony's got the great point here. In case Psycho, shot for shot. Like, you want to get away from it. Not that you want to say that one is bad or anything, but just to not be compared to one another. I think that's the right way to go.
And there's just changes you can make. Like, the idea of updating Louis doesn't bother me.
Right.
The time period is something I'm not sure about yet, but I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
They went forward quite a bit with putting him in. I think it's 1920s New Orleans. Yeah. That's quite a jump.
Mm-hmm.
And him being the owner of brothels, quite a jump.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some changes, but then, like, you look at Sam Reed as Lestat, and he is basically the way he's described in the book, identical. And then there's even one of the shots from the trailer where they kind of recreated something from the movie, which I thought was really neat too. Mm-hmm. And again, the movie is pretty accurate anyway.
So you guys are two huge fans of the books and the movie. I'm more or less a fan of the movie, but not overly knowledgeable about this stuff. So I'm looking forward to you two, being more in depth with it, and me just asking a lot of questions, which basically is how Chris and I run things. I ask all the questions, and Chris tells me how to do it, or how to understand things. So I'm looking forward to that. Is there one thing that you specifically are excited about? Whether it's the characters, whether it's a story, the visuals. One thing that I said I wasn't going to watch that latest trailer when Chris mentioned it to me. I watched it anyways. It looks amazing. Mm-hmm. Like the shots, the costumes, the visuals. I think it looks really good. I like how bloody it also looks. So I think, technically speaking, I think it's a very well shot. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to, is I like the time period too. Talking about New Orleans, and how I think there's a one line in that trailer, or maybe when he's talking to what's his name in the actual interview, talking
Daniel.
About day and night. Yeah, talking about day and night in New Orleans, and how the daytime is used to sleep after a nighttime, like party or whatever, something like that. So I'm liking the way the timeline is then used to breathe life into the story and the setting, and thus into the visuals. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing, is the visuals. What about you guys? What's one thing you're really excited about from the TV show?
I think I'm just excited. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
No, I'm just...
Go.
No, you. No, I'm just excited for vampire content, period. So I feel like it's been since what, Midnight Mass, since we've had like decent vampire content. So this is going to be exciting for me. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of my favorite characters. Well, one of my favorite characters back on screen again. Mm-hmm. Lestat is one of my absolute favorite characters in history. And so to see him back, and not Stuart Townsend, makes me very happy.
Yes. Oh, God.
And no more Stuart Townsend.
It's funny that you mentioned Midnight Mass there, Cookie. And from Interview with a Vampire, and like, this is true blue vampires. You know, they dress
Mhm.
fancy and they talk fancy and very sexual natured and everything like that. So like, and that's something. At Midnight Mass, they're vampires, but it's something different, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
So, Interview with a Vampire feels like, yeah, this is a vampire show.
Right. Like, I don't
this
want to
is very
say
vampire.
that it's like a fun vampire show
Yeah.
because, you know, obviously they deal with, you know, the trials and tribulations of immortality, but it feels, you know, fun and like old school vampire, which
Mhm.
is what I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's no like daylight tricks or things. Well, I don't think there is. Maybe they're changing that too. If they change that, I riot, and I feel bad for you guys on that episode. You know, other than that, yeah, it's traditional stuff
Yeah.
mostly.
One of the other things that I noticed from that I think it was the first official trailer was the sexual relationship that Louis and Lestat are going to have. It feels very strong and very closeted as well. So that aside from the setting, I'm really looking forward to their relationship.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the casting of Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, but I never felt their relationship in a way.
I don't think they wanted us to.
Okay.
That's the impression I got from the movie. They didn't really want that because there's hints of it here and there.
Yeah.
But it's not as clear as it is in the books, and the show seems to want to like add on to that, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're leaning into it.
Yeah,
Big
they're going to
time.
lean into it, and that's okay because one of the things one of the writers said, which I thought was very interesting, was when they did the show, they have the full catalog of the Vampire Chronicles to look at, so they don't have to just go by what's in the one book. They're looking at all of the books. And so when you look at all of them, you see these guys throughout time have some moments. You know, there's moments where Lestat and Louis hate each other. There's plenty of those, like when Lestat burns down his house. But then there's other ones where they're, you know, they don't hate each other. They're actually a lot closer. And then there's some of them like brothers, which is even a different thing. But
they have quite the relationship, that's for sure.
They do. It's a fun one to follow in the books. It really is. It hits the fever point in like it's the 5th book where Lestat gets mad at Louis because after all this time, Louis is still depressed. That's his thing. He's just Eeyore. He's the Eeyore of vampires.
I love him. I love him already.
Yeah, he likes to live in shacks. He doesn't dress nicely like Lestat does.
Right.
So Lestat gets mad at him. You basically live like a bum. This is what we are. This is not what we are. He burns the shack down and chaos ensues. It's a good time.
All right, guys. So that is our thoughts on the Interview with a Vampire show that's coming out on October 2nd, and we will have it for you wherever you get your podcasts. Interview with the Geeks. That's the 3 of us right here on your screens, and we're still hammering out when we're going to be recording and when we will be releasing. But just make sure you are subscribed to Gathering of the Geeks, and you will get the show when it comes out there. Chris, anything else you want to talk about? Cookie, anything else you guys want to talk about before we get on out of here?
Have you guys both watched Rings of Power?
Yeah.
Yes. I watched it for the 2nd time tonight, Christopher.
The 2nd time. Okay, I gotta catch up.
Yeah. We record tomorrow for our show. Yes. On Monday.
I need to put that in my schedule.
Yeah, but write it down.
Top of the list.
I will put it in the schedule. No, that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm good.
Okay. All right, Cookie, before we get on out of here, hit us up with some plugs. Where can people find you?
Twitter, Cookie Munster. That's it.
Perfect. Chris?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70, but as always, I prefer you guys follow the show at G of the Geeks. Emmet is good with the other descriptions and the podcastings and all that YouTube-y stuff.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7, but like Chris said, if we just want you to follow Gathering of the Geeks, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you will find us. I want to say thanks to Eric, Seti, Grabs, Bollyrock, Anthony Caruso, Eric, Ian. Who am I missing, Chris?
Phil. Phil Walsh was with us.
Phil Walsh, and I think Lauren was in for a minute, but she's
Right.
playing
Did you get
Fall
grabs?
Guys.
Fall Guys.
Grabs. Fall Guys is a good time. I think that's everybody. So thanks, as always, for hanging out with us on Sunday. But again, thanks, Cookie, for coming on here, for announcing our new audio-only show. We look forward to recording with you every week. In saying all that, for Cookie and Chris, and I'm Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Later, Gators.